Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. Today, I want to start with, I was watching these kids go into a donut shop that's right by my office, and they come out and they have all this stuff, and they don't technically look like the most healthiest people in the world either. But I look at that and I think, this is just wild that people do this. I mean, they'll go in and they'll just eat a donut probably every day. And then I'm always amazed when I go by McDonald's and all these places where I still see people go inside and actually eat. And there's people sitting at the tables and they're eating. It's crazy to me. But, I'm on this, I guess, far into the spectrum on the other side. And so I realized that, you know what? If I don't know anything about health, I guess I would eat at McDonald's. It would be quick, it would be easy, it would give me what I need for now, and I would move on. And I don't think I've ever done this on a podcast, but I literally tried to figure out, what does every unhealthy meal take away from our life? And it's interesting because if in 1950, 1955, the oldest living person was in their 150s, and we think, oh, you got to be kidding me. I would have thought they were like 60. Like everybody dies at 60 in the 1950s. No, the oldest living person was in their 150s. Oldest living woman, I believe, was 148. And so here we have, the human body can really live quite a long time. Well, if the average age now of death for a man and woman is in the mid to late 70s, we're literally talking about cutting off half of your life every meal you eat. I mean, not every meal, but you're cutting off half your life when you eat bad meals. So I'm like, okay, well, let me calculate what that would look like. And that literally says that if you eat 3 meals a day, each meal is responsible for 8 hours of your life.
Oh, that makes it rough, though, if you're at McDonald's or stopping in at Starbucks. My goodness.
It does, because it goes down pretty fast.
Yeah, it does.
And so let's say that if half my meals were not very good for me, then I'm going to cut off, at least a good 50 to 60 to 70 years trying to hit that 150.
Wow.
So that means I can expect to maybe live to be 70, maybe 80 if I'm really fortunate. But let's say every meal I eat is pretty bad. It's actually probably a little bit more than 8 hours, because we see people now having heart attacks at, 38, 40, 42, some even at their 20s.
Very true.
And so the problem is that we can look back and say, okay, there's this dude named Pottinger that he said, okay, well, if food makes a difference in some respect, and let's find out how much food makes a difference. So he took a group of cats that were healthy, and he started feeding them only refined processed food, like cat food.
Yeah.
And by the 3rd generation of cat, they literally their teeth were falling out. They couldn't have kittens. They'd have a litter, but they would all be dead. And so these cats were very sickly. And so the moment that happened, he literally turned their diet around and put them on a raw food diet that cats would normally hunt mice and birds and eat those things. And it took 3 generations to get the cats back healthy. So the ones that were born sickly, that couldn't throw any kittens, they eventually got healthy enough to where they could carry a litter, but they still died quite prematurely. The next generation, they were still not really well off, and they had a lot of health challenges, even though they were given raw food too, that was like their diet. But by the 3rd set of kittens, those cats were now normal again. And so here we have kids that are being born to really malnourished adults. We wonder why fertility is a problem, is an issue. And this is kind of our society as we go. But here's the kicker. The worse we feel, the more we're going to go after foods that give us a rush.
Very true.
So,
which means a lot of sugar, right?
Oh, yeah, because what does sugar make us feel? Instantly really good. I mean, I give my son some sugar when he's a little low. Man, is he happy and chatty Cathy. You know,
he's ready to go.
Oh yeah, he's talking a mile a minute. His mood is just instantly elevated.
Well, doesn't it also have an effect on the kids that they're in schools now that they're having problems with keeping their attention, keeping them to sit in a chair? They're antsy. They're running, bouncing off the walls.
Sure, if you think about it, at one moment their mind is now low blood sugar. They can't think clearly. They can't form any kind of conscious thought, and we're going to ask them to regurgitate on a test something, or maybe even think for themselves, and then we're just going to feed them, nutrient devoid food that's going to give them a little energy or calories, but isn't going to supply any nutrients. If you think about this, if I get a mineral supplement and I get a vitamin supplement, those things are not caloric. There's no calories in those.
Right.
So all the nutrients isn't calorically driven, but if we have high nutrient-dense foods, we technically, there's oftentimes lower calories. So it's kind of a win-win for us. Not only are we getting full and feeling sated because the food is really, really nutrient-rich, and that tells our taste buds, hey, I've had enough. But if there's no nutrient value in those foods, now we just want more and more and more. And we'll go after coffee now. Because now I'm so adrenally deficient, I've got to boost myself with coffee every morning. And if I don't, I feel like crap. And if I stop drinking the coffee, I get a massive headache. And when I go home at night, now I want to watch, television shows that kind of give me a rush. Maybe I even want to watch a scary movie because it jolts my adrenals once again, gives me a rush, and I actually feel alive a little bit. Some people are really drawn to scary movies. This is one of the reasons why their adrenals are weak. What else could we see as a tendency for weak adrenals, being under lots of stress and not having enough nutrition in our diet? Definitely addictive tendencies.
That would show actually a broad spectrum of people that are on heroin,
sure,
opium, meth.
But even gambling. I don't know if you've ever gambled, man. You got some money on the line, your heart's kind of racing.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It's a rush.
Every time I drive down the street, I'm racing. Yeah.
Yes, now it's like even the driving will do it to us.
Sure.
So we have all these symptoms that are really quite obvious if you realize what you're looking at, of a society that's really malnourished, and we're going after all these things. Why do I run to my phone to try to see the next thing that it's going to tell me on Facebook or Instagram or all these popular social media sites? Because it gives me a little bit of a rush. It gives me a little bit of a, what's next? And it's kind of almost exciting. Oh, here's the next thing. Here's the next person's problem. And so we shotgun this on social media, and it really gives us all a rush. And what ultimately the body's crying out for is, I just need attention. I need some type of nutrient. I'm going after donuts, like these two kids at the beginning of this, where I talked about them going into the donut shop to get, a box of donuts because this is what they were going to eat to get a rush. And so as you feel better and better, all of a sudden I don't crave the ice cream. I don't crave the candy. I don't want to eat a loaf of bread. I don't want to go gamble, or I don't want to, now maybe I'm a sex addict and so that's all I think about. Or maybe I'm, now a heroin addict and I'm just trying to get off the heroin and so I'll go to smoking. Or I'm an alcoholic and I finally get off the alcohol, but I can't give up the sugar because every time I give up the sugar, I go right back to drinking because I'm still a carb addict. These are the things that is a body that's telling us I'm really malnourished, and they're all things that can be fixed. It's just doing those things and interested in doing them. So, our lifestyle and our American way of this high in-your-face advertising that does work because everybody's looking outside themselves for something else. Rather than living from vitality within, I'm now living on stimulation. It's how I have to do it, because if I don't feel complete. I don't feel alive. I don't feel good. And so I'm living from stimulation to stimulation to stimulation in whatever way that is. But as in my office, as I start supplying nutrients, I was just talking to a client that told me her husband started on a couple of products 2 days ago, and he already feels amazing. He can't even believe it. And that's, those are things that are pretty significant changes in short periods of time, but that's how cool the body is. When you give it what it really truly needs, it responds very quickly. It's not something you have to wait for. It's kind of like if you drink a beer or some wine or drink a shot of whatever, do you feel it? Well, of course, within minutes you feel it. Well, why wouldn't we expect the right thing to have an equal effect? A lot of vitamins and supplements on the market, people will take them and they tell me commonly, I didn't really notice anything with that. And that's commonly because there's not much in there. Why would we think it would be any different? And so as we really start supplying true nutrients to the human body that are in the right form that our body's used to seeing for thousands of years genetically, then we expect amazing changes. So, are you going to live from a vitalistic standpoint of internal well-being and vibrancy that comes from within you? Or are you going to live from stimulation and die a much earlier death because that's kind of all you know? But I'm here to offer you a difference, something very different, a different tool that can be very much more complete in a more holistic way. So, until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
This concludes another episode of Revealing Wholeness with Dr. Troy Munson. If you have any questions concerning this podcast or others, you can reach Dr. Munson by email at chiroman, that's CHIRO man, @dr.com. Or you can call him at his office during office operation hours at 360-893-8586. This show is sponsored by Infinity Whole Health on the Disruptors Podcast Network.